This week's hot topic is inspired by a number of different things, but mostly to do with a conversation we've had behind the scenes before filming, and that is to do with the viability of big festivals. Because as we film this, we're not sure if Download is going to happen in 2020. We keep hearing that it is, and there's a lot of speculation that it is, but at the same time, this time last year, the lineup was fully announced, tickets were on sale, the works, and we haven't heard anything but crickets at this time. So that's what motivated this conversation. You had a whole lot of the facts and figures behind things, so how about you kick it off for us?
Yeah, so if you do the maths on the festival, they had roughly 20,000 people in Sydney and 25,000 people in Melbourne. Last year, I had roughly $170 a pop. If you do the maths on that, it's actually not, when you consider the amount of money it costs to bring people over here from the US and the UK and travel, and you got to move the stages around. I'm sure renting Flemington Racecourse is not cheap, and all the other jazz that goes with it. It's really an eye opener as to how these festivals go in Australia, especially with a country that's so big, with such geographically big, with a smaller population. It does cost a lot of money to move from one place to another, and again, because we're on the other side of the world from everywhere else, I do sort of wonder how these things will go from a rock perspective, because one of the things that's really hurt it is, as we took away a lot of the support networks for Australian bands and bands that were based here, the costs of running these sort of things skyrocketed, because you couldn't just pad your lineup out. If you look at the 90s Big Day Out lineup, it's 75% Australian. And everyone looks at these big headliners, but it was mostly Australian bands there, and that's how you were able to keep your costs down. Can't really do that anymore because
no media.
Basically,
put Airborne as an afterthought, for God's sake.
But even
they were filling.
No, but even then, if you want to put in Airborne, you've still got to fly them from Germany.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's not. Airborne had to go overseas to get anywhere. So they don't really count anymore, unfortunately, as far as costs go.
I hope it's still viable. I hope someone finds a way to do it, but I suspect they won't. And the small festivals probably don't have much of a future, or the medium level festivals. The really small ones can keep doing what they do. Some of them are really successful, and it's great. They don't generate a lot of cash.
No, that's hard to grow.
Yeah, it's passion and hard work that makes these things happen. This is the other end of the spectrum, and it's I hope it can still work. I really do. I mean, Download last year.
It was great.
Yeah, this year.
This year.
Yeah, it was one of the best days out I've had in a long time. It was a lot of fun. The bands were fucking sensational.
We all got to hang out and had a great time.
Yeah, the crowd was great. So I hope it's viable, but when you break it down, and with climate's forever changing in that regard, as well as to security and whatever the media will pump into it.
The New South Wales police policy on these sort of things.
Scare tactics. And so, but I hope so, but I have, grave reservations, unfortunately.
Yeah, my point of view is more or less the same. It's pretty much a unified panel here. I would love to see it continue. I think they have a great place in Australian music culture and the future of things to come. But I think that between the lack of support from government and media in this country, to not only have these events come here, but also to grow the stable of talent that we have in this country, and any form of support at all, it's just not happening. So we're not able to pad out lineups and sell tickets. And if you're going to bring 3 or 4 big bands over, they may as well do their own tour here. It's going to be more cost effective, because it's not going to cost all the infrastructure of having a big festival. And so,
provided they don't go into rehab and not turn up.
Well, yes, and then announce a different bunch of festival headliners anyway. But in Europe, the US, and all that sort of stuff, it's much more viable than it is here, because the density is there. No matter how big the country is, the population density is there to cover it. Here, we don't have it.
Yeah, because you can book. Okay, to throw a name out there, so Ozzy Osbourne. You can book Ozzy Osbourne to play Download in Paris and in Germany and in England. Well, straight away you get 3 shows out of there. It doesn't cost much to travel in between it. Plus, Ozzy can play 10 shows in giant cities to giant crowds and make it worthwhile for him. Whereas for him to generate that same amount of cash here is virtually impossible.
Well, the only other places you can tour aside from Australia are Japan and New Zealand in the same stretch,
Yeah.
and that's expensive because of the flights
Well,
in between alone.
yeah, Japan's not close to Australia,
No.
and New Zealand is
Not population dense enough.
no.
So you can't win either way. And until we get, one, the government to fucking lift the bullshit they're putting on the festival circuit and music in general, but also, two, for the media to step up and start promoting new homegrown talent versus,
That's not Tones and I.
well, or anything. Like, we just don't get anything. Like,
Auto-tunes and I.
yeah, there's no... When, as far as our TV shows are concerned, aside from what we do here, that you got TV shows like, you know, The Masked Singer. Fucking hell. Like, you know, none of these things help. They all hurt.
No.
And it makes things worse in the long run. We're not going to see many of these festivals anymore if we don't start to actually generate homegrown support. So what everyone can and should do is do the online thing and promote and spruik and all sort of stuff. But until we get major media support, it's just not going to happen, I don't think. I think it's the writing's on the wall. But that's us.
We'll
what
see.
about you out there? Well, what do you think out there, and do you see a better solution or have any idea at all what's coming next? Over to you. Give us your thoughts. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, and also give us a thumbs up or subscribe or follow any of our social media channels to stay up to date with what's going on next. I want to say a very quick thank you to our sponsors, Alt Cult, Rockstar Finance, Hydra Rehearsal Studios and Squidding Screen Printing. Thank you all so much for your support, and we will see you in the next video.
Cool.
Yeah, when you break down the dollars, it's kind of like, nah.
It's depressing reading.
Cheers. Dirt River Radio.
Dirt River. Okay. Ready to go?
Hard to say. I might sneeze. Let's run the gauntlet.
Let's see how we go with this. All right.